to restart that.
Oh,
Wow.
there we go.
Wow. I made an error. Good morning and welcome to the CADclass podcast. I forgot to hit go live. I did have a countdown timer, but you guys couldn't see that I had a countdown timer. So I totally forgot to go live. I was like, why
So we're
isn't
just
anybody
talking to each other.
commenting on this? Yeah, we just had a nice chat, but none of you
We just had a
were in.
lovely 2-minute chat, a 2-minute complaining chat.
That's so silly. Oh my goodness. Oh my
We need to
goodness.
redo the intro, Josh.
Good morning and welcome to the CADclass podcast. We can do it like old retro style. Good morning and welcome to the CADclass
No. We need to do it like NPR.
How
Good
does the
morning to
NPR?
the very, very, very whispery and lispy. Welcome to the CADclass podcast.
Do you feel like NPR they hire people for a very specific voice? And I
Oh, of
can't
course they do.
exactly tell you what that voice is, but it's completely unique to their brand. And I'm not sure how they find people with that voice.
I think they just go to Portland.
Yeah.
I think they just go. Perfect. Yeah. Come down to the studio.
So on trial number 2, we were saying good morning, Cadence, good morning, Ogre, good morning, Ethan, PC Van Vliet, Joe Street, Derry. It has been a lovely week in the Discord. Thank you so much for welcoming people and saying hello. Jake and I are stoked. Actually, they missed your complaint too, so you don't get to complain now, Jake. But Jake started out this original conversation that we had when you all were not there by complaining, but now he doesn't get to do that.
I'm done. No. I got it out of my system. I'm done. I don't need to.
I have loved this week, Jake. I have loved seeing our projects in the wild and knowing that we didn't screw this up so badly that everybody's like, what happened here? Like, you guys used to be good and now this book is just total garbage and your instructions are terrible.
No, our community's too nice, even if it was garbage to say that.
Yeah,
even if it was trash, they'd just be like, yeah, it's okay.
I think most of our community is. But some folks would probably get on there and just be like, what happened to you guys? What happened over there?
Anyway,
I guess we get that on Reddit sometimes. We get that on YouTube too. This was terrible. This is the worst. How stupid could you be?
We're going back into the complaining thing that we said we wouldn't do.
That's right. So, yeah, let's talk about some of the projects in the wild. We've just this morning too, we had a new person join our community. I don't know if you saw this, but in the introductions tab, this guy David shared a 3D printed CNC that he built, and it's pretty freaking cool.
3D printed CNC machine?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. And then right away, we've got Mr. Todd Phillips as well asking a question. So, hey guys, is there a way to emboss cut into a part, but keep the part that was cut away as a new body?
Ooh. Ooh. That's a damn good question. Do you know what? Okay. Side note, I really enjoy all of these questions because there's stuff that I genuinely don't know. I know we're here and we are the experts with very heavy quotations. But there's so many different parts of geometry and different things that I genuinely don't know, and I'm sure Josh doesn't know as well.
Man, this is interesting.
All that experimentation. I have an idea of what to do, but let's try it out. Let me go ahead and...
It is funny, by the way, that you asked a question right away, Todd, because Jake and I, just before this podcast started, said, we need to get back to some of our CAD roots. We need to talk CAD.
That is absolutely right.
Right, and like we were talking quite a bit about 3D printing, which we'll continue to do, but I love these questions.
I like it.
Thank you for asking them. Other people in the chat, as you have these questions, please don't forget to ask them either live on the pod, or you can ask them in the Discord, and hopefully we'll get to them on the pod as well. So if you guys want to do something like that, that would be great.
Okay, so you can take as we know, you can take absolutely any text on an offset plane from a curved surface or a flat surface or a compound curved surface, which is an object that curves in 2 dimensions. And you can use the emboss tool. You can select any text that you want. Select the text. There we go. And then select any face that you want. And it's either going to make that text proud, which means it has a positive value. So this has a depth of 2 millimeters, or you can deboss, cutting into it, essentially making a recessed. You can do this with text, or you can do this with an SVG. Either one, it doesn't matter. But was it Todd that said that how do you keep the text in there?
Is there a way to emboss cut into a part, but keep the part that was cut away as a new body?
So what I'm so on most operations there is join, cut, intersect, or new body. But there isn't for emboss because you're either cutting into it or extruding out. So what I'm thinking about doing is cutting away 2 millimeters and then seeing if I can cut away but into the void that doesn't exist. And I wonder if it will then make a positive material. I don't know. I actually genuinely have no idea. So let's try that again. So I've now cut away our text, and then I want to cut into. Oh, what's going on? Oh, it made it on the other side, but a mirror. What? Oh, that's weird. Oh, because I'm emboss. I would be embossing it onto a face that's cut, so it's viewing around onto the other side. That's really trippy. What happens if I deboss it? Oh, that's really funky. Okay, so then perhaps I need to emboss it on the bottom face of the original cut text. But then you would need to do that for every letter. That's okay, that's the most perpendicular letter. That's cutting even deeper. Oh, that's really weird. Do you see how it's like cut?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's really, really, really strange. Okay, so the actual fix of what we'd want to do, Todd, because I've always got a backup, is I'm going to emboss this, and then I'm going to cut away the cylinder, going -50, and that leaves you with just the curved embossed text. So hopefully that's kind of what you want. And if you, it means you kind of have to do a little bit of backwards math where, oh, I want the outside to be 100 millimeter or 100 millimeter in diameter, not the inside. Then you have to do a little bit of math. But I believe that's the only way that you can do it. Damn, that's a really good question. That's actually shockingly interesting for a result. I like that. That's not bad.
Very good question.
I hope that helps, Todd. That was
Yeah.
that was really bizarre.
Derry says, nice. That's easier than my strategy. I'm curious, Derry, what your strategy would be. I know it's harder to talk about in text.
Oh,
but yeah, I would love to know what your strategy is, Derry. Super interesting.
That's a funky one.
Yeah.
All right. I think we want to show off some of our projects. By the way, this is going to be a relatively short pod. We're going to keep it to about 30 or 45 minutes. I was literally filming all day yesterday for our new Ender 3 V3 SE course. If you already have a 3D printer, then you may not need it. But if you're getting into CAD and you want a 3D printer, that is the lower cost entry level 3D printer that we unearthly recommend. It is so flipping good for the price. What you get for it, the quality of the prints that you get from it is so much better than what it used to be 5 years ago. Yeah, but that's going to be coming out hopefully by Friday. So I'm going to be doing. I think I'm editing about 3 hours of footage today, which has been.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm going to be. I'm going to be working. I'm going to be burning. What is the phrase? I'm going to be burning the midnight oil.
That's the phrase. Yeah.
I started off not knowing where the end of that phrase went. But in this class, we're just going to be showing off some of you guys' fantastic projects. And then also there's been a little bit of a bizarre, weird thing going on in the 3D printing world with lawsuits, with Stratasys. I think Bamboo's in it as well. And so Josh did a bunch of research on this. I've literally done 0 on purpose so Josh can educate me as well as all of you. But let's go back and check out some of you guys' projects because I want to show off Connie's project right from the very beginning. And I'm not quite sure where it was. Connie recreated. Nope. There we go. Holy hell. So I believe. Oh gosh, I can't remember. on one of the mechanical projects that we have in the course. One of the projects is, make a piston, essentially. We've got the piston chamber, the piston going up and down, the rock arm, all that good stuff. And it's as soon as you make one, it's relatively easy to then multiply it or pattern it, duplicate it, and then it's like, I've got like a V8 engine, and it's really not that much extra work. Connie said, no, I'm going to make it significantly cooler, significantly more intense. Oh my god, Connie, you are crazy. This looks so good. Like, Connie, this is amazing. This is absolutely unreal. I'm a little annoyed that you made this after we made all of the collages in the book showcasing all of you guys' projects, because this is absolutely a page 1 project. This is
so amazing.
Like, this is actually amazing. And this is, and Josh reminded me this morning, Connie, I believe, had never done CAD up until 6 months ago. She's in the
chat. She's in the chat. Let us know, Connie.
Dude,
I don't think she had much, if any, experience with specifically with. I don't think she had any with Fusion.
That's
amazing. She's in the chat, so pipe in, Connie. We're curious, but yeah, I think one great example, Connie, you're a shining example of what's possible when you work through these projects. You think deeply about them, and also you go through the actual challenge in the process of trying to create them, because this is where most of that learning in our program happens. So, and we do
hear from a lot of people that go, "Oh, these challenges are really hard," and it's like, well, yeah, it's a challenge. And some people will take that to heart and they will actually try and solve it and work on it.
Yeah, this is so amazing.
Connie being the best example. This is just ridiculously good. Oh my god. I'm just blown away. That being said, all the other things that we show off this morning, we're also again incredibly proud of all of you guys. We get to this very weird stage, Josh and I, where we're like, it's like we want to pin up our kids' projects on the on the fridge. That's what it feels like. Look at what they made.
Yep.
We didn't do anything at all. It's all you guys.
You did it.
But we are still very giddy and very excited.
Yeah.
I show off all of your guys' projects to my friends and family, and they all go, "Oh my god, that's amazing! You made this?" And I go, "No." my students, and they go, "Oh, okay, that doesn't count then." Like, yeah, that's fair. Oh my gosh, but she went through the whole.
Oh, I love this part. I just love this part. Showing that design process where you're sketching something on a piece of paper and you're trying to think through how this works. Like, this is another part of the making world that I think people underappreciate, especially in CAD, is how did you get to the CAD model? A lot of times what I talk about with people is before you get to the computer screen, before you start doing anything, just take a pen and a piece of paper and try to sketch roughly what's going on. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get the juices flowing, because when you get into CAD and you try to do something complex and you try to think while you're designing, then your brain goes, nope, don't want to do that, and it gets too hard. So love to see this whole process. Love it.
Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. And I do want to point out this. I studied German for a tiny bit for one semester in college, and one of the things that always made me giggle is the German language ability to make an ever increasingly longer word. Just makes me giggle. There's quite a few languages that do that, where instead of breaking it up, they just continue on the word. And there's just seeing this just took me back, where some of these words are just so fantastically long.
And Connie, by the way, said she started last September, so she has been doing this for under 1 year.
That's amazing. That's
so
amazing.
And holding a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
This is so. Shout out. You can do it. That's my point. You can do it.
I actually read this morning, which was really lovely. Someone that just finished off the geocache. I believe this is the first edition one. But they said, that's awesome. Are you 3D printing as you go? I really enjoyed this one. I went geocaching with my aunt and grandma in Florida once. Both are passed now, so it brings back some good memories. Oh, that's just lovely. That makes me really happy.
That makes me happy as well.
That's such a lovely, lovely thing. And then I still like to see some people just jamming through some of the old challenges, which are just so fantastic. We will always keep the edition 1 and all the previous editions All the Discord channels, they will always still exist. We're never going to be deleting anybody's projects or any of the past good nuggets of information. They will always stay there. Ed showcasing off one made in Tinkercad, which is like another level of ridiculously insane.
Unbelievable.
Shane making a lovely little name tag. I actually want to see someone make this and use it as a luggage tag, because that's what I use mine for. Even like the simple ones, the pawn, making this as like one of the very first challenges is just, it is the first challenge in the new book. It's not easy at all.
Not only is it not, I think it's not easy, but the interesting thing about that pawn is it's one of the early examples of CAD software feeling like magic. Where you can
the
take
first time
a
you revolve
2D
something is
profile
very
and
cool.
revolve it, and then you go, oh my, it just, your brain goes,
Yeah. Because I think everyone can understand it's like, taking a circle and pulling it into a cylinder. Like it's not that crazy. But yeah, something very, very complicated from something very, very simple is always very, very cool. A few more paperclips. I've always been shocked at how much people enjoy the paperclip project.
My brother really struggled to get the paperclip right, and he was like, "Oh, it doesn't look quite right." I was like, "You just move on, come back to the paperclip later. It will."
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Look at this.
I love seeing all these engines. These are just the coolest things to me. It is. I've never done it, but it's been on my list of things to do in my life, to pull apart an engine to its last nut and bolt, polish everything up, clean it, and then put it back together again. That's been on my list of things to do for so long. I think Connie's still going, making a walking strong beast.
Whoa.
I know. I still want to make a really big one of these I can ride. I've been wanting to make one of those since I was a kid. And then actually putting it on the beach. That's lovely. That's amazing. And then Connie, just blowing us all in the water.
Blowing us in the water?
So... What's the phrase? Blowing us out of the water. There we go.
Yeah, or blowing us away. Blowing us in the water is really, that's a... I wonder
as soon as I said it, I'm like,
you're just blowing us all into the water.
Yeah. Yeah, this is absolutely amazing.
I know. I'm like looking at these things. Like, oh my god, I need to make some of these. These are amazing.
I know. I'm like, I haven't made anything cool in a while. Oh, and then Jeremy Verdon making Jerry.
Yeah, you're just making stuff up today.
Dude, I'm losing it today. Making a shifter for a Porsche. That is just...
And he did it, I believe. He used the surfaces.
He used the form tools, which is not... Yeah, it's not easy to do. And it's something that we've had quite a few people ask us to do. And it's not something that either of us have a lot of experience with. But maybe this is the push to kind of get a little bit more experience into it.
Maybe we'll do a form tools project just kind of as a giveaway at some point.
Yeah,
and then maybe we'll do the same with a generative design, which is occasionally kind of interesting.
Yeah. And then Ethan, dude.
Yeah.
He showed this off last week, but it's little magnetic banners for Maker Faire OC, which I'm so excited for, dude. Every single year that he's hosted it, not on purpose, we haven't been able to go. Either I'm up in Sacramento, or I'm away in the UK, or I'm like on the last day of a deadline, and I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This year, I'm absolutely going hell or high water, and I'm so stoked. I'm so happy to go.
He's in. Yeah, I think we'll have a booth there as well. I saw Ethan was in here in the beginning. If you're still here, Ethan, we would love to have a booth and show some stuff off. And Jerry's here too, by the way. So he says it's actually not hard once you get used to the controls. So on that form, it's not too hard. So Jerry, my man, I would love a tutorial. You wanna help us write a tutorial for the form tools? I would love actually that shift knob or something similar. I don't know. Maybe
that sounds cool.
You know, and all that free time you definitely don't have.
And then I want to show off Ogre's project. This is the Hue Forge. So many people have posted Hue Forge projects, and I haven't made one yet. Making a Harry Potter clock. That is so flipping cool. I love it. I love this so much. This is just fantastic. I've got so many colors of filaments that I really need to use. I don't know if we can share the same license, Josh, but I want to make something cool.
I'm not sure how that works, but it's cheap regardless. I think I don't know.
And then Derry's making a GoPro stand for his bike. That's just so
Nice.
cool. So I've tried to make one of these for a phone, and it's just so heavy that it doesn't work too well. And I'm like, I'll just hold it. It's like the efficacy of 3D printing just goes, never mind. This thing from Hack the Planet that I don't think I've seen before, making Mario lights, which
I
is
love this.
this is so rad. This
So
is
freaking
so
rad.
flipping cool.
As a kid, I would have gone nuts over something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario
Yeah.
was the game. And when Mario came out, especially when it came out for the N64, and now it's almost like that 3D game engine, this would have been the perfect. Would have loved it. And I love the little tube on top of it as well. Yeah, these are amazing.
Oh yeah. This is fantastic. I love it. And then I think did we see something?
We talked about a lot of these last week, but yeah, continuing to talk about the Hue Forge.
So many more Hue Forge. You guys. Oh my, that's perfect. That's awesome. Yep, that's cool as well. Oh, that is actually cool. Okay, I like that. Oh my god. Yeah, they're all cool. I love it. Awesome. I think there's a few of the new ones. Derry, how dare you not color in the inside of the bites of that donut? How dare you? And then I think some people are making the new Saturn V rockets. So much more accurate. I love how much more accurate.
More accurate. We took some time. We heard the feedback from the first version where you said you didn't show us how to cut these planes up and put separate decals on them, and so we did that this time. Here's the finger surfboard. Oh, I didn't realize somebody printed the finger surfboard out.
Yeah, Ogre made it. Dude.
Ogre, dude.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. It is the most childlike giggle that I gave when I was finally riding my finger surfboard out of my window. It was just so silly how much fun it was. I had such a blast. And then I think Jotri, still the only one that has made it. That's fine. Carabiner's going up. I still want to see
who's going to be the first to make a carabiner? Haven't seen it yet in the real world.
But Josh, I think we're done with that. I want to hear about this lawsuit before we sign off, because that's pretty rad.
Yes. So
it's very confusing.
For those of you who don't know, I'm going to try to fill in some of the details here. I did some research. I wouldn't call myself an expert, and obviously we're not legal people here, so nothing that we say should be taken legally. They give those disclaimers. I'm not sure exactly what I need to say for a disclaimer, but we're just commenting on a legal case. We are not making any statements reflecting any real legal opinions.
We have to say that because the legal world of 3D printing, if I can just start it off, is very funky. In the very beginning of the 3D printing world, back in the 70s and very early 80s, there was basically 3 companies: Stratasys, 3D Systems, and a third one that I can't remember. They essentially they I don't even know what the word is, signed up for almost every single patent and trademark you could ever imagine for 3D printing, even the ridiculously simple ones like extruding plastic through a nozzle, like uber-duper basic things. Nobody else could do that. And it took 20 years, basically the late 90s, early 2000s, until all those patents basically started to dissolve. And then we got a huge explosion of small desktop maker-based 3D printers like MakerBot that kind of started from those early days. And that kind of leads us into now. So we've still got very, very large industrial 3D printers that Stratasys and 3D Systems makes. And then we also have the desktop 3D printers that we all know and love. So that's the kind of...
Stratasys also makes or bought MakerBot. And MakerBot used to be a huge and very popular brand, although in the past 3 to 5 years...
And then they sold their soul.
Well, maybe. Or I don't know if they sold their soul so much as their pace of innovation seems to have slowed compared to their competition. So you have Prusa and Voron and then Fresh on the Scenes, and this is where the story gets Creality massively, and then Fresh on the Scenes, and this is where I think this lawsuit gets particularly interesting, is Bamboo Labs. So Bamboo Labs, we've been talking about Bamboo for a little while. I have a Bamboo sitting here. You've got the Prusa MK4. We talk back and forth about them. Both amazing machines, both really interesting and innovative companies. But Bamboo has made quite the splash. And
Yep.
they've done so by focusing heavily on usability right out of the box. No
Okay.
loving in the bed. They've got a well-integrated app. You can start printing and start making just about instantly. And there are very few problems that people have. And because of this, the 3D printing world goes, oh my gosh, we didn't even know something like this was possible. So this is, I know the folks that are on here, you guys understand, and you know Bamboo Labs. So this brings us to the lawsuit. So I believe it was last week, maybe the week before, there was a lawsuit brought in East Texas by Stratasys, 2 lawsuits actually, against Bamboo Labs specifically. And what seems to be at the heart of it is a couple of different technologies that all 3D printing companies use. 2 that people have talked most about. One is purge towers. They've claimed that they have the patent on purge towers. And 2 is heated beds. 2 is heated beds. Heated build plate.
Like this, like, okay. There is in the engineering world, in the maker world, in the more professional manufacturing scale, there is this level of respect that is kind of behind the scenes between people who invent something, truly invent a new technology, and they patent it, and then people that are very obviously patent trolls, where they have the most vague, unbelievably default level patent that just doesn't garner much respect. For example, patenting a heated bed when that is just a heating element.
So hang on. So before we go down the rabbit hole of what exactly they're patenting, I'm going to try to comment on what I believe I've read and seen and heard from both the 3D printing community and Bamboo hasn't really said much. They did acknowledge that they had heard about this lawsuit, but I don't even think they acknowledged that they have officially been served this lawsuit. But it's this court in East Texas, and I think this court choice is deliberate. And I want to circle back to why they chose this court specifically, and why they chose this district in East Texas specifically, because I think it actually might have global geopolitical consequences. Ooh. So they filed this patent. There's actually 2 separate lawsuits, and I believe, and I haven't actually read through the entire, obviously, judgment myself, and frankly, when I try to do it, my eyes just glass over, and I want to take a nap, because I can't imagine being a lawyer. Yeah. But so let's talk specifically about the 2 that have gotten the most press, which is the heated bed and the purge tower. First, let's start with the purge tower. So to your point, and to a lot of the 3D printing world,
can you describe what a purge tower is really quick?
Purge tower is when, specifically, I think they're used when changing color a lot, but it's a place that your nozzle goes after changing color to get rid of that old filament, and it kind of builds up a little tower in preparation for the new one, so that you don't get any mixing of colors. So it is
as complicated as a block. That's basically it.
So
it's yeah.
Yeah, and so Jerry says it makes me embarrassed to be from East Texas. Jerry, I hope that what comes out of this case is, I hope it's just thrown out, because the implications in the 3D printing community are obviously massive, because everybody uses a heated bed. Yeah. Every company uses a heated build plate with these, they also
the irony is the only 3D print. The irony is the only 3D printers that don't use heated beds are those obscenely cheap, less than $100 3D printers, because they literally can't afford to put another heating element onto the docket.
Yes,
so it'd be amazing if those are the only ones left.
There also might be, I think they may have also included in this suit the multi-layer, removable build plate idea, where it's not built specifically on a heated bed, but on a separate piece above that heated bed. So the primary question that a lot of the 3D printing community has been asking is, well, what about prior examples of this technology? This has been a largely open source community, and there are examples of these technologies being used prior to the issue date of that patent. So at the core of the case for the 3D printing community seems to be, hang on a minute, we've already been using this stuff for a while. That patent isn't valid. So one of the questions,
nobody owns that patent.
You can't actually patent that. That technology existed prior to you patenting it. So essentially,
if I can butt in really quickly, one of the really, I think, quite beautiful things about the 3D printing community, especially in the early days, is that when people were solving problems, it was, I'm not going to hoard this information, I'm going to give it to the community. So the very famous example is retraction was invented by someone in a community, and they gifted this information on a forum and then to a few 3D printing companies, and they went, "Oh my god, that's amazing! That solves stringing. Finally, finally!" And then they put it into all their slicers and into all their 3D printers. So there are so many very, very, very important features, both hardware and software, from the community that have expedited and accelerated the technology of 3D printing faster than, God, CNC machines, laser cutting machines. I would say the community is gigantic.
The innovation in this community has been unreal, right? The pace of innovation has been unreal. So this is why, right? This is why so many people are up in arms about this. Is because, hang on a minute, we're developing. And by the way, Joseph Prusa being one of them, and he's been critical, and Prusa as in general, and for good reason. They've been very open source. They've been trying to, and as a matter of fact, the new board for the MK4S, they have a hacker board for it. So they're giving you, there's a separate board you can buy and actually get into the internals of it. And I'm out of my depth because I don't understand enough about these boards to be able to talk about it. But point being, he's been a huge proponent of, it's an open community, it's open source, and I think it's one of the main reasons that people, there are many reasons people love Prusa, but this is certainly a big one. So anyways, so the purge tower and the heated bed. So from a purge tower standpoint, so obviously there's the prior use idea. 3D printing community is up in arms, and for good reason. Are these patents valid? It brings into question the entire patent system in the U.S. What's the point if this stuff is existing before? Like, what can you actually protect? What can't you protect? Questions like this. So the purge tower. I want to talk about the purge tower first. So it's a couple of comments in our YouTube right here. A couple of people have said I could get rid of the purge tower. Interesting to note that it's not actually called a purge tower when Bamboo Labs uses it. It's called a prime tower, and they serve different functions, right? And so I'm wondering if some of the nuance behind the way that they decided to label this thing a prime tower versus a purge tower is going to play into this lawsuit, where they're like, well, if it were the purge tower, it would be this, but ours is actually a prime tower, which is what I don't know. Honestly, I didn't have enough time to research the difference between a purge tower and a prime tower.
If you go into the expert level nitty-gritty settings of retraction is when you pull filament out and then compression goes back in. But priming is, I believe, where it pulls back a tiny bit to suck in essentially a vacuum, and then the retraction pulls the filament away. It pulls the filament away from the hot end. The prime is just the little pop, and then it pops back, and then it retracts, I guess. Yeah.
So is it a purge tower or a prime tower? Yeah, TBD.
That's so silly.
Yeah. So the heated bed thing is obviously, it's going to be, and so what people realize is if they win, if this were to go to trial, and by the way, they asked for a trial by jury. So if this were to go to trial and they were to win, then Stratasys could essentially they could force every company who uses this technology to license that technology from them,
oh my God,
paying them a fee. And what it means for the consumer is that all of your 3D printers go up in price, all of them. And it just creates a monstrous, like very difficult to shake.
And I can only imagine that would then trigger other companies as large as Stratasys to then copy the same thing and do, okay, now we're going to be, let me leaf through all of our old patents. We have a heated nozzle, and then run through the whole thing again.
So if I want to zoom out for just a second, though, from the lawsuit. Or from the specifics of the lawsuit. And I have two questions that I think are really difficult, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around why. So the two questions are, why Bamboo Labs and why now? So plenty of people use this technology. I want to address the first, why Bamboo Labs? Two things I could think of that would be interesting from Bamboo Labs, like why Bamboo Labs? One, they're really successful in the hobby market right now. And they're so successful in the hobby market that a lot of companies who previously would have bought $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 Stratasys machines are going, why don't I just buy like 5 or 10 X1 carbons? Instead of this one $50,000 machine, I'll take my 10 X1 carbons or 50 X1 carbons, and I can jam on this stuff. Like, there's no reason for me to have this machine that is supposedly a hobby level machine is actually starting to compete with some of the core of their business. That's one idea I have. The second idea that I have is that Bamboo Labs is not as established of a Chinese company as some of the other larger 3D printing companies is, and that they specifically filed this in the East Texas court system.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Because there's some geopolitical stuff at play here. Who wants this? Like, so if you could play the geopolitics card, right, you're this American company and you've got this technology that the Chinese people stole, right? Can you convince this judge in East Texas that this is about a larger idea than just the 3D printing world, but it's
about
actually about nationalistic? And so this is obviously a conspiracy theory of mine. I have no idea if any of this is true. I frankly don't even have very good opinions on any of this stuff. I'm just trying to get us thinking about why specifically they would sue Bamboo and why it would be right now. And that's all I can come up with, is maybe it has something to do with geopolitics. They think they can win, and by beating Bamboo at this geopolitical game, that they can then enforce this patent on all the other companies, right? So what they're not going to tell you is, like, if we win, then all those American companies are also going to get hit, and the other European companies like Prusa, right? This, you could call Prusa like the West. This is almost like a West versus East kind of a thing going on here. So that's the best I can come up with for those two ideas. Bamboo Labs is just, when I first heard about it, I thought, wow, this actually proves what we've been seeing and hearing about a lot in the community, which is that Bamboo Labs is massively successful right now.
Yeah.
And people are starting to come after some of that success. But then when I thought a little bit more about it, I thought, okay, well, maybe this has more to do with just more than just how successful they are right now, but maybe there's some larger strategy at play. So that said, what do you think about that?
I don't want to paint Stratasys as this, like, massive evil corporation that just tries to take down small companies. I think that's too discriminatory, and I think it's too obvious. The Stratasys has very, very purposely built themselves as we are an industrial 3D printing company. As you said, they produce very large 3D printers, industrial scale, industrial price for industrial materials. If you've ever seen any headlines about, oh, this military uses this 3D printed part in a jet or in a tank, and it's made of this ultra exotic, high temperature PEC plastic, those have to be printed on an industrial machine. So they have those markets. It's not like, oh, the gigantic numbers of the general populace is overwhelming these niche objects. They are obscenely high price printers and obscenely high price orders from military and industrial scenarios. And just them creeping onto they've set themselves as that type of company for decades, and then kind of sneaking into the hobbyist world, it feels rather ugly. I think I don't like it. There is I want to figure out if we can do this, but there is I've always wanted to, us collectively, watch. There's this Netflix documentary that came out over a decade ago about the world of 3D printing, and it kind of shows off that rivalry. It shows off the growth and all this bit, and it mainly focuses on MakerBot, who also run Thingiverse, for anyone that doesn't know, and it also shows off Formlabs, which is like the really beautiful, very desirable resin 3D printers. They're actually met at open source. They're very nice. And it just shows them battling against the big Stratasys and the big 3D systems. And it's very awkward because MakerBot was on a panel with, I think, 3D Systems, while 3D Systems was suing them, and they were trying to be friendly. And it was so awkward. It was beautiful how uncomfortable everybody was. It was amazing. And if we can figure out how to, like, stream and obviously us provide commentary for it at the same time, that'd be rad. But yeah, there is always this really ugly legality side behind the world of 3D printing that I think everyone just hates. I think It's just ugly. Yeah, we don't like to hear about it.
Fun fact, really quickly.
Yeah.
First thing I ever printed was on a Stratasys 3D printer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, both of us.
And you as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of ABS on that old like refrigerator sized
Fridge printer.
whatever Stratasys printer that was. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear. I want, if our community has commentary, I would love to be pointed to high level
sources
commentary.
Yeah.
Sources, specifics in the lawsuit. I want to try to shy away from. I know I speculated quite a bit, but I want to try to shy away from just the pure speculation and get into the what really makes it work. But I will say, if any of these things do succeed, this does not bode well for the future of 3D printing. And I mean, I hope, fingers crossed that the judge sees this prior use and prior documentation of these technologies and just throws it out.
But it's funny if you don't know about the culture around 3D printing and how open and give information away.
Well, but it doesn't matter, right? I would think if there's an example of that specific thing previously that somebody could point to, that's pretty hard to refute. Like, this already existed before you did it. But I don't know. And again, not lawyers. This is not about legal.
No.
We have strictly uneducated opinions, but speculative opinions here. But I am really curious to see how it plays out, and I'll be watching it closely. And very, very quickly, I think we shouted this out briefly, but shout out to Prusa. I've got the Prusa shirt on right now for launching the MK4S. It sounds like they've got an app now that have made things easier. They're focusing more on the simplicity of these designs and making this work out of the box. I think a lot of that has to do with the competition they've been getting from Bamboo Labs. We can see Prusa there in the background. And Jake, you just filmed a couple of videos on Prusa Slicer for our introductory Ender 3 course. Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't really use Cura anymore. I've been Cura'd of it.
Cura has been not updated in a long time, or it's not been updated with any new, fun, extra cool tools.
Yeah,
they've been kind of lacking a little bit.
Funky. I hope they don't. But we're gonna keep it a little bit short this week because we got some filming to do's.
I got some editing to do. And next week is going to be our 52nd podcast. It's going to be a year of doing this. And so we might do something fun. Who knows? But I think that's going to be it for this week, guys. Thank you ever so much for spending your morning with us.
Thank you. This has been the CADclass podcast. Once again, I'm Josh.
I'm Jake.
And we will see you next week.
See you guys.